Elizabeth, we are ready? Calling to order the Planning Commission meeting for June 12, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the statement of values to be read. Secretary Bozek.
As we gather, we humbly seek blessings upon this meeting. May we act with strength, courage, and will to perform our obligations and duties to our people with justice to all. Let us seek wisdom so that we may act in the best interest of our people, our neighbors, and our country. All of this we ask that we may serve our community with fairness and respect, putting their needs before all.
Thank you. Please have a seat. We will do the roll call. Elizabeth?
Yes. Commissioner Bhatnagar? Commissioner Biagini?
Here.
Chair Kuru?
Here.
Commissioner Wang, it looks like he is not here right now. Commissioner Buza? Commissioner Slane?
Here.
Commissioner Crutchlow? Here. Thank you.
Did we hear anything from Commissioner Wang?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Since we don't have a full quorum, we don't have the full commission, we do have a quorum. Should we give a couple minutes? I'm looking to Xander.
Yeah.
A couple minutes?
Yeah, why don't you wait and see if he arrives before you take him?
Okay, thank you, before we go into actual action. Okay, so thank you again. We will give Commissioner Wang a few minutes to see if he can join us tonight. We will move now to the declaration of commission procedures. Secretary Bozek, could you please read?
Public hearings are conducted by the chair in accordance with the following procedures. The chair of the commission directs all activities during the hearing. All comments shall be addressed to the commission. Any item on this agenda may be continued to a subsequent hearing. Applicants will be allotted up to 10 minutes to present and justify proposals. Following staff presentation of the item, other speakers will be given up to 2 minutes. The applicant is allotted up to 5 minutes for rebuttal of comments. No additional comments will be accepted upon the close of the public hearing, although the commission reserves the right to direct questions to any speaker on any matter. Special procedures, time limits may be applied to any items as prescribed by the chair. Appeal of commission actions must be filled in writing within 7 calendar days.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Bozek. Copies of the current agenda and staff reports for each of the items on the agenda are available from the Planning Division office on the Friday afternoon preceding the meeting and available online. Continuances and exceptions. This part of the meeting allows for applicants, members of the public, or other interested parties to request an item to be 1, continued without hearing, 2, withdrawn, or 3, taken out of order. Are there any requests from applicants, the public, or members of the commission for a continuance or exception for any of the items on tonight's agenda? Today we have a packed agenda of 7 items.
No, we don't have any requests.
Okay. Any members online?
No, no one has their hand up.
Thank you. Seeing none, we will now continue with the regular agenda.
Oh, I would like to announce Commissioner Wang is on his way.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate the quick update. See, we will continue to wait for our 7th member to join us. Meanwhile, Xander, can we proceed with consent calendar or do we wait?
You can proceed with any item, Madam Chair. However, I noticed that for item number 1C, the Planning Commission meeting minutes of May 24th, 2023, Commissioners Batnagar and Biagini were absent from that meeting, and Commissioner Crutchlow was not yet on the commission. As a result, there's likely to only be 3 who are currently present that can vote on that item, which is insufficient. So I might suggest you take the consent after Commissioner Huang has arrived so that you can vote on that item.
Okay, appreciate the guidance. Any thoughts? Okay, so we will take the order of items and move the consent calendar to when Commissioner Huang is here, and if we are in the midst of a hearing, after the public hearing items. Public presentations. This part of the agenda is reserved for any members of the public who would like to briefly address this commission on any item not on today's agenda. This is to help members of public bring awareness, ask for a future request to be on this commission, but no action can be taken on any item brought to this particular item today. Public presentations. Anybody from the public here, in-house or online, who would like to address the commission on any items not on tonight's agenda?
No, we don't have anyone online.
Okay, seeing none online as well as in the room. Moving to the public hearing items. We have 6 items on tonight's agenda for public hearing. The first item, and I want to make sure I'm going in order, the first item for public hearing is the recommendation on an amendment to the zoning code, implementation AB 1397 from 2017, relating to affordable housing developments and allowing use by right for selected projects pursuant to the city's adopted housing element. Staff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a proposed code amendment to incorporate the provisions of AB 1397 and AB 1398, which define the term use by right and also extend that the idea of use by right to specific projects that were in previous housing elements. So the origin of this code amendment was that as far as these provisions in AB 1397 and 1398 were a requirement from the State Department of Housing and Community Development for the city's housing element to be certified. And the secret good news here that you're seeing on the screen is that our housing element was certified on May 31st. So terrific good news.
Woohoo! Thank you, staff and commission and city council. Go ahead.
But that means that one of the things that we agreed to was to incorporate this language into our zoning code. So one is the definition of the term use by right, which means that for multifamily housing especially, multifamily housing may not require conditional use permit, plan development rezoning, or other discretionary review. Because this housing is considered by right, it doesn't constitute a project for the purposes of CEQA. And if there's a subdivision, that could be subject to CEQA. If there's discretion involved in the city's subdivision ordinance. And the key thing here is that it still doesn't, just because it's non-discretionary, there still can be design review, as long as we use objective, quantifiable, written development standards. So use by right still allows for the city to review projects and to incorporate or to use objective development standards in the review. But again, CEQA is not a part of a use by right decision. In addition, the state is requiring the city to include the provisions of AB 1397, which call out if there's a previously used site from the previous housing element. So there are two conditions. One is for non-vacant sites, which is basically everything in the city of Santa Clara as an infill city. And the second is for vacant sites. But let's focus on non-vacant sites, that if there's a non-vacant site in the previous housing element and the applicant comes forward and proposes 20% affordable units, they're entitled to a use by right process. But in addition to that, the state expects cities to use by right in all of its land use or all of its decisions regarding housing at this point in time. So that this provision is a little bit moot at this point in time. Just just wanting to say that we are being required, or a state is requiring cities to use the use by right process for housing decisions. With that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council that the proposed zoning code amendment codifying the definition of the term use by right and the provisions of AB 1397 and 1398 be incorporated into the zoning code. I'm available for questions. Thanks.
Thank you, staff. Commissioner Biagini?
Hi, John. A question for you. Go back to slide 4, the one before this. So I want to make sure I understand definition of affordable to lower income households. Which level of affordable are we talking about? Because, you know, there's like low income, very low income, very, very, very low income.
Yeah, lower income is the combination of the two lowest
Okay.
categories, so up to 80%.
Combo of
Up to 80% AMI.
the two lowest, okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Salem?
If staff or Xander had a comment on the expected impact of SB 937, which is just passed, which is, increases the entitlement and reduces the fees that the cities can charge, apparently. If it's news, we can skip it and move on.
You know, it's my job to anticipate the questions you're going to ask. You caught me flat-footed.
Gotcha on that one, okay.
SB 937?
Yeah, that's what it says, SB 937, transformative piece of legislation, blah, 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 Senator Wiener.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised Senator Wiener got another piece of housing legislation passed, but I'd be happy to report back on it at a future meeting for
That
you.
would be really great.
SB 937?
Yeah, 937, it sounds like, from just reading the blurb on it, it sounds like it's going to slow down development by increasing entitlement to the project for an extra year, and also to cut down on our ability to charge development fees. So both of those things seem to have an impact that would have negatively impacted development. But they always propose that this is a great new thing for development.
Well, regardless, if it just passed, it won't go into effect until January
next year, right?
2025.
Yeah.
But I can give you a preview of that in the coming months. You don't have to wait till January.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions before I go? Staff, are we talking about how many properties are we talking that's going to have this change? Is it the list that was provided as sites inventory? The Tasman East Focus Area, Patrick Henry Drive, or are these other specific properties that?
So the AB 1397 provisions would apply to sites that were in the previous housing inventory, and that does include El Camino and Tasman East. But again, the state is requiring a use by right process for every residential property at this point in time. So the AB 1397 provisions, like I said, are a little bit moot given the current environment.
If I'm understanding this correctly, and I apologize if I'm belaboring it, the effort, is that this use by right will basically be shown in our zoning ordinance
Correct.
for all residential properties, non-vacant sites.
All residential properties, regardless of whether or not they were in the previous housing element.
Interesting.
If they're 20% affordable. 20%. Am I stating it correctly?
My
The
understanding.
use by right requirements.
Right, for AB 1397, but my understanding is that we have to have a non-discretionary process for new housing applications.
That are 20% affordable?
Okay?
Are you citing to AB 1397, or what are you citing to? Sorry, we should have,
No, I'm glad you're having this conversation, whatever makes it clearer.
I've got a question too.
My understanding, and I'll just say this for validation again, all non-vacant sites included in the prior housing element fifth cycle, so it's not the latest cycle,
Correct.
okay? And we had only a few properties at that time identified. Now we have way more. So we would call all those property projects East Patrick Henry Drive, Lawrence Station area, Tasman East focus area probably, and maybe I'm missing a few, to say in the zoning ordinance, those specific plans, projects as allow use by right. What I think I'm getting it is they should still demonstrate that they have 20% affordable
Yes.
housing component
Yes.
to that project. So it's not an umbrella use by right in the zoning ordinance change.
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Our inclusionary ordinance requires 15%, and it is frequently a significant jump to go from 15 to 20.
Yes.
So one would anticipate this will not prompt all developers to
developers
suddenly
to
jump
come
to 20%. Because as you may have seen in the agenda report, this is already the law. This has been the law since January 1st, 2018. HCD has asked us to enshrine it into our zoning ordinance as one of the conditions for getting certification, but it was already on the books.
got it. Again, Siri is very interested in responding, but I have these technology people next to me who are so reliant on Siri. But so thank you again. If I'm envisioning the zoning ordinance correction then moving forward, if with this approval, absolutely we will recommend, I don't doubt it, but to make sure that there is a notes clause that says 20% affordable housing, used by right, when 20% affordable housing.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure that even if it's not there now, that that's the case.
Well, I mean, it is in the text of the resolution that you're adopting tonight. I mean,
It will be added into the provisions
code.
in Article 2, the use section.
Okay, thank you so much. That's all. I rest my questions.
And for the record, I'm announcing that Commissioner Wang is now
Oh.
joined the meeting.
Thank you. We have Commissioner Wang right in time for the voting. It's okay. We've all been there. No need for apologies. But wanted to acknowledge that we are discussing the first item, and actually we're ready to take a motion. We'll make sure that Commissioner Wang's IT.
Sorry, excuse me, Chair. Did we ask for any public comment?
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate the, Commissioner Wang, if you're ready, you're welcome to ask any questions. You can always come back since your IT is just getting set up. But would like to now open it for public comment. Thank you for reiterating. Do we have any members of the public, online, in-house, who would like to discuss or bring issues related to the approval or recommendations on AB 1397?
No, no one online has their hand raised, and no one in the council chambers is requesting to speak.
Okay, can I have a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Biagini, seconded by Commissioner Boozer. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. I will now, if there are no other deliberation questions.
Actually, if you have not voted, Commissioner Botnagar, can you cast your vote online? If
Oh,
not,
sure.
just
Yes,
verbally go
thank
ahead
you.
and say.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I cannot vote online?
Okay. You don't have the option right now? Okay, so did you want to verbally? And,
Me too. Yes.
thank you. Okay. And the motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. That was to close public comment. We will now, if there's any deliberation, please, members, questions to staff? Okay, seeing none, I would like to entertain a motion, please.
I'll make the, were you raising your hand, Lance? Oh, okay, so I'd like to make a motion that adopt a resolution recommending that the city council adopt the zoning code amendment to implement Action 9 of the housing element relating to by right residential development pursuant to AB 1397.
Just for clarification, is there any CEQA action to this, please, Stephen?
There is no action needed to be taken by this commission. This was this is already the current law. So
Okay,
you're
got it.
actually not making any changes to the physical environment by simply mirroring the state law.
Correct, thank you
There's
so
no
much. Sorry, I
project.
didn't see that does not constitute a project. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Biagini. Can I get a second? Thank you, Commissioner Crutchlow.
Commissioner Botnagar, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Wang?
Yes.
Thank you. And motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, again, thank you so much for bringing all of that current information to us. We are now moving to the third order of tonight's hearing, action on a conditional use permit, PLN 24-00112, for a new unmanned telecommunication facility with indoor equipment storage area and a new 80-foot-tall monopine by Verizon Wireless at 3536 Monroe Street. Yes. Can we do consent at the end? Or half an hour more? We can move to the staff presentation.
Appreciate it, Chair. The application in front of us today is a CUP for a new unmanned telecommunication facility at 3536 Monroe Street. This is Daniel Subchuk, City Santa Clara Associate Planner. The site operates as a church. The proposed project would operate in addition to the church that's on the site. The site is Zone B, public, quasi-public. The proposed location is to the south of the property. The property immediately to the south is also a church and is also Zoned B. The proposed project requires a CUP per city code. The proposed project is currently meeting all the city code requirements for new unmanned wireless facilities per chapter 18.66 of the zoning code. Here are the maps that show the existing and proposed. As you can see, the new unmanned facility would create a much more cell coverage. The work will take place at the southern edge of the site. The current location of a non-enclosed patio structure, that will be moved about 30 feet to the north, and the proposed project will be built where that patio currently is. In addition to these changes, the applicant will use an additional 556 square feet of existing storage space for equipment. The proposed height is 80 feet, and the proposed setback are 14 feet from the side and 14 feet from the rear of the property lines. The structure itself is proposed to be 75 feet, and the inches will reach up to 80 feet to further hide the proposed equipment and antennas. Here is the street view of the site. The project will be located where that arrow is, which is amongst the current pine trees on the site, which range in height from 70 to 80 feet approximately. The city recently approved a similar project in 2021, as can be seen here. With that being said, staff recommendation is to determine that the project is exempt from SEQRA per section 15303D, and to adopt a resolution to approve the CUP at 3536 Monroe Street, subject to conditions of approval. Staff's here for feedback, and the applicant is online as well.
Thank you, Daniel, for the very clear presentation. Does staff have any questions? Commissioner have any questions to staff? Commissioner Salem? Okay.
I'm concerned about a letter that we received, and if you could go back to one of the beginning slides that talked about meeting the requirements for distance with a tower?
Sure.
Because I don't know the answer to this question, but we have a member of the public who understands mobile towers must be located a minimum of 400 meters away, which I understand to be 1,312 feet. Okay, there we go. Is this meeting the requirement for minimum distance between residential and the tower?
So in the city code wireless facilities, there are multiple rules and regulations that show how far a wireless facility is required to be. There are two sections, one for residentially zoned projects and one for mixed use / commercial zone projects. There is no separate section for B zoned. So those requirements that were stated don't pertain to this particular project. However, we do have separate setback requirements that are in section 18.66.060 that say that the facility must maintain at least 1 foot of separation per foot of tower height to residentially zoned properties. And in anticipation of this question, I have this map here that shows that the property or the proposed project would be about 103 feet to 109 feet from residentially zoned properties and about 150 feet to the residential single-family homes.
So in other words, 1 foot per tower height, so 80 feet high means 80 feet?
Yes.
Okay, so this exceeds it, okay, the distance. Okay.
Good question. Thank you. Commissioner Salem?
Okay, did they do a collapse impact study to know that if the tower fell in an earthquake, it wouldn't hit Sunday school rooms or some occupied space?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if that's a requirement of the city code currently, but I can reach out to the applicant to see if they have that.
It may not be a requirement, but it's being done in other cities, and mostly to avoid issues of putting people in harm's way in an earthquake.
Could you repeat your,
It's a collapse impact study
Collapsed
where it finds out if the tower fell over during, let's say, a 9/0 earthquake, worst case, is it possible for it to collapse across a building, like one of the church buildings, that is housing either people actively in service or Sunday school or any of the occupied buildings in a way that could harm people? So there's provisions for being able to support the tower and can guarantee it collapses in a certain direction and things like that. But I just was wondering if they had done that, since I didn't see it in the plans.
yes, right, so they have not submitted that. I would like to think that they would build this to earthquake specs, but we don't have that from them.
Okay, you may want to ask about that as a follow-up for,
So you're not requiring, as of now, we're not requiring to meet earthquake standards then on the construction of those towers then?
I don't believe that was stated.
Okay.
I mean, typically, those things are addressed through the building permit process. And then, of course, the applicant's here to address any questions like that as well.
We ask them. Since he's here.
they could ask.
We'll open it for public.
Well, they may have a presentation that they want to give. So I believe right now it's the commissioner's questions.
Thank you. We'll open it when we are done with other questions to staff. Go ahead, and Commissioner Biagini.
I don't know if this is a staff question or an applicant question. I'm curious, were there other sites considered?
Yes, I don't have that in that, I don't have that for you right now, but I'm sure that the applicant can answer that.
Any other questions to staff? Seeing none, I'd like to open the floor for the applicant presentation. Applicant, if you are ready, you are allocated 10 minutes for your presentation. Is there anybody here? Online?
They can raise their hand.
Me.
Something going on there.
If the applicant is online, could you raise your hand on Zoom, please?
Okay. No response, or are we?
It would be
Okay.
within your discretion to continue this until after the next item.
Okay. Somebody, if they're going to reach out to the applicant, we will continue it pending responses for clarifications.
Yes, staff has reached out to the applicant. They will update as soon as the
They're
applicant
able
has
to?
sent us
Okay.
an email.
So with that, should we still open for public comment? Or continue it
I
until
would
after?
recommend you continue it and then wait
Okay.
until public comment until after the applicant has had his chance to speak.
Thank you. Do we need a vote to continue it?
Discretion of the chair.
Okay, thank you so much. We will continue this item and allow for staff to let us know when the applicant is accessible, available. Moving to the next order of tonight's agenda items, we have a public hearing action on a conditional use permit for the conversion of an existing convent into a dormitory-style housing at 2001 Lawrence Court.
Tiffany Vian will give the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. This is Tiffany Villa, an Associate Planner, and I will be giving the staff presentation on the proposed project at 2001 Lawrence Court. So the request is for a conditional use permit for the conversion of the existing convent building into a dormitory-style housing for up to 25 students. The existing site area is 21,000 square feet. The site is in the public or quasi-public zoning district with a public, quasi-public general plan designation. The surrounding land uses include single-family residences as well as multifamily uses. The existing site is built with a 10,968 square foot vacant convent and a paved parking lot. To provide some background on the proposed project, the existing two-story convent building on site has been vacant for 7 years. St. Lawrence, the Martyr Parish, has been working with the Diocese of San Jose and Santa Clara University to provide housing for students from the Santa Clara University School of Education Excel program. The Excel program is a 2-year service through teaching program for graduate level college students who will be teaching full-time at under-resourced Catholic schools in San Jose. The proposed housing will only be available to students enrolled in the Excel program and will be provided year-round as the program has a summer component. The director has determined that a conditional use permit would be appropriate for the proposed student housing in that it is related to a specific graduate program and will not be available for other schools or anyone in the public to live in. This is the proposed site plan. The existing building footprint is to remain, and there will be a total of 25 parking spaces provided for the proposed use. These are the proposed floor plans, which will include a total of 22 bedrooms. Most of the work to convert the building will be confined within the interior. Facilities within the converted building will include bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, and common spaces such as lounges, study areas, and dining rooms. These are the east and west elevations, which are the front and back of the building. The existing one-car garage will be converted into a chapel. These are the north and south elevations, which are the sides of the building. Exterior changes to the building are limited to the replacement of windows and doors and making the entry to the building ADA compliant. So the required parking spaces for rooming is 1 space per bedroom. As the proposed housing consists of 22 bedrooms, the required number of parking spaces is 22 spaces. The existing site only contains 6 parking spaces. However, the project site is part of a larger campus that is also owned by the church. And because the campus is comprised of different contiguous parcels, the applicant has applied for an off-site parking permit to provide 16 standard stalls and 3 accessible stalls. And as a part of the project's parking program, parking permits will be issued to residents and the parking stalls will be marked as reserved. In total, there will be 25 spaces available for the proposed housing. So the staff recommendation is to determine the project is exempt from CEQA and to adopt a resolution to approve the CUP for the conversion of the existing convent into dormitory-style housing. And that concludes the staff presentation.
Thank you, staff. Any questions to staff?
Yes.
Commissioner Booza?
Yes, can you go elaborate a little bit more about the parking spaces that you have where in the property? Because I know you have the junior highs, part of the junior high is there, and also you have a swimming pool and a gym right there, so that's usually occupied too. So where are you going to put the parking spaces? That's what I wanted to know.
Yes, so the larger campus, which is not shown here, there's 158 parking spaces on the other site, so they're just.
Yeah, those is for the church.
Yes, those are for
So
the
that's-
church and
yeah,
for the
that's for
other
the church and
uses.
for the elementary school.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's occupied most of the time, so you cannot count on those. So I want to know where else are you going to put the those other parking spaces? Where, because I don't see it in the map.
Yeah, maybe I can pull up an
My
aerial.
concern is that I don't want them to go in the residential area right behind it, and start taking.
Maybe it's faint, but the,
Yeah, the yellow highlighted is the parking on the other site that will be designated for this smaller site to use for the student housing.
So are they going to be taking out the junior high? Are they going to be demolishing the junior high, or are you seeing part of that? Are they closing the junior high area?
They will not be demolishing the school use on the other site, but there is sufficient parking on the other site, which is why they are allowing this student housing to use.
I have another concern too here, is regarding, could this at any time be used then for transitional housing if this, let's say, if Santa Clara University decides to put the students in their campus, could that be, do they foresee using this for as transitional housing?
No, so only,
So we can put a limit on it, saying it will not be
yes,
used
there
for
is
that?
a current condition of approval that this
Okay.
specific housing is only for students enrolled in this Excel program.
How
from
many
Santa
of the
Clara.
residents around there, I understand that 300 feet, the notice were placed, only 300 feet for the notice of the project? The residents in there, I mean, were they notified that this was coming?
Yes, residents have been notified.
How far did you go?
I think it was,
300 feet.
300 feet. Can we change this to 1,000 feet? We already went through this before. 300 feet is nothing. I thought we already changed this to at least go to 1,000 feet. 300 feet is, you only cover one or two houses.
But you have a 300 feet or minimum clause in the zoning ordinance, I think.
We already went through this with them, remember? In the last project where there was, and you said you were going to change it. So apparently you didn't change it. What's going on?
I believe you requested 2,000-foot noticing for a recent data center project, and we did provide that noticing. I don't recall an action asking staff to change all noticing for all projects. There is an outreach policy that we are continuing to follow. If you would like changes to that outreach policy, we would need to seek council direction.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we get going on that? Because at 300 feet just really is absurd.
And we can certainly put that on a future agenda,
Yeah, because the mayor wouldn't
discuss
like it,
what
just
sort
5 houses down from her to be a big project, and that's more than 300 feet.
I hear
I
that.
wouldn't like it either.
We could definitely look at the public outreach policy and come up with better distances if the commission agrees that we need to increase them for certain types of projects.
Anybody else
I think
agree?
the key to that one is going to be, what is adjacent there? So for example, if you have a park that's right across the street and then there's houses back there, do you start saying, well, wait a minute, let's start the 300 feet after the park or things like that? So I think there's plenty of room to discuss what makes sense to make sure that it's adequate, but I agree, let's do it at another time and have a complete discussion.
Thank you both, and I think where we are recognizing is that there is a furtherance or need to look at our outreach policy. If I recollect correctly, I think it is 300 feet and a minimum number of properties in other jurisdictions at least. That covers basis, that if you don't have hit a particular number of residences, then you go to that. Within the 300 feet, of course. 300 feet in this case, especially in commercial and other locations, it's much more restricted to how far people get to know of this project. So thank you again for bringing awareness. Again, a table topic for future. Let's bring us back to what we are looking at. We are still, any other questions? Commissioner Critchlow, please.
Okay, I want to amplify on one that Commissioner Buzza came up with. When we talk about this is limited to the Excel program, is there a definition of exactly what that is so that in the future, if that program, the criteria change, is there something that might trigger a review of that use permit?
I think that could be added as a condition of approval, that this housing be specific to the program.
Well, yeah, if I say it's specific to the Excel program for students that are in there, what is the criteria of what that program really means? I could see where I can change that over a period of time and it means all of a sudden something else. I still call it XL, but the criteria by which I use it could be something different. So I'm just curious if there's anything stipulating that, hey, if this significantly changes in some way, we have the right to review it again.
I mean, condition P4 is the one, it says student housing facilities be reserved only for students that are part of the Excel program.
Correct, but what defines an XL program?
So we could add some reference to that.
That would be great. And then when you say 22 beds, total of 25 students, is it strictly students? Or if somebody, let's say it's a married couple, I don't know if that's allowable in this program or whatever, but would that include spouses or other dependents of some sort, which would increase that number?
It would be restricted to students. The applicants are also here and can provide more detail of what their program entails and what type of students are typically part of this program.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Salim?
Yeah, I just had one simple question about, is the security, the external security appropriate at the new use level? Are they going to have any kind of camera systems or intruder awareness systems that are going to trigger it? That's all. Because I think now that this is switching to a general purpose student facility, they may want to increase the external surveillance, obviously not internal, but external. So.
Is that a question to staff to
Yeah,
see
that's a
what's the
question to
security?
staff, really, but it's,
protocol?
I think it's going to be more of a question to the developer.
Yes, yeah,
So they can write it down and we'll get to it later.
okay. Any other questions to staff? Sorry, Tiffany, go ahead. You were trying to respond.
Yes, there will be a building, like a RA on site, but I think the developers can answer if maybe campus safety from SU will be also involved in this part of the program.
Thank you for that thoughtful response. Okay, any other questions before?
Just to clarify real quick, these are grad students, correct?
They're graduate levels. Yeah.
Mr. Boozer?
You mentioned graduate level. Are there going to be parties going on over there too? Because you've got an elementary school right there. You're going to be playing beer bong right in the front of the parking lot there in front of the church or what?
The students will be full-time teachers. So again, maybe that's a question for campus security too.
That was my original question, is
Nobody's
if
here.
if they're 18 years old and they come in, then I can ask that question. I think it's great. But if they're graduate students in a special program that are going to be teachers, I think they're going to definitely be held to a higher standard. And then we can ask,
Were you ever a graduate student?
was I? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So what, did I party? No.
I agree. Okay, all good questions, mostly directed to the applicant. Any other questions to staff? Going once, twice. Thank you. We will now open for the floor for the applicant. If the applicant is in-house, please identify yourself. Online. Okay, we have somebody who's raised their hand. Gino? Staff, are you tracking to your applicant?
You just need to unmute yourself, Gino.
Sorry about that. Yes, hello, I'm Gino Catalano. I'm with Topa Architecture. We were the firm working on this and submitting this on behalf of St. Lawrence, the Martyr Parish. So here to answer any questions as best as can.
You have 10 minutes if you want to present on any details that have not been covered by staff, or if you've been hearing all along, you're welcome to start addressing the questions.
Yes, certainly. So as for parties and all of that, there are going, as it was stated, there is going to be an RA present at all times who will keep the peace, as it were. And with that will come things such as quiet hours, which are typical of a dormitory setting. And also to point out that these are not just, fresh-faced college students. These are grad students who are part of a very particular program who are, at this point quite dedicated to this field of study. So they will also be held, as was previously mentioned, to a much higher standard than just your average college student.
And-
What were the other questions?
We had questions on parking, and then we had questions on, of course, neighborhood outreach. And then Commissioner Salem, your question was on security. Thank you. So those are the three topics, if you'd like to elaborate.
Yeah, so the high school building there to the south, or the bottom of the image that's currently shown on screen, is currently not an active school. And so by the parish sharing part of their parking with the convent, as these are separate lots, there's no actual reduction in parking for that building there. Yes, the building's still standing, but it is currently not an active high school environment. So those spots, nothing is lost by having those spots reserved for the dormitory use at the convent. And then as for security, we've not discussed internally any sort of security camera measure on the exterior. The building will be key fob just to prevent, anyone from walking in. It will be, for students and staff only. But we can also certainly discuss the addition of security cameras to the exterior.
And the outreach to your neighborhood?
I believe we posted all signs as necessary and asked of us. So that's all I can really comment to that end.
Okay. Members of the commission, Commissioner Boozer.
Yes, the dormitory in question, you have a junior high right next door to it. There's also traffic when they drop off kids over there too. Is that still going to be active, the junior high?
Yes, that will remain.
So how are you going to handle then the parking and people coming in the mornings and the afternoons?
I don't believe they're dropped off through this route, or we will reroute them. I would have to confer with client on that.
Yeah, that's a good idea if you do, because that's my recollection is that's how you drop it. If you came from the old high school that has been vacant for a few years, and then you come around by where the dormitory is, and make a U-turn right there, drop the kids off. So work on that.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
Any other questions? Again, we have the applicant here, and thank you, and I will state my comments to the applicant. First off, I do appreciate the creative, out-of-the-box thinking. Both buildings within this neighborhood have been vacant, as I recognize the need to come out of the box, put a building to use. Grateful to both the diocese as well as the Santa Clara University for helping support build our student community. Thank you, applicant, for bringing it. I do appreciate the questions from the commission. Want to make sure that the parking permits will be issued to residents is named and bottled in, for lack of a better way, that they will stick to parking within the premises. I would like for the applicant to also consider putting signs that if there are parties, visitors, guests, this is housing, so frat houses are still real. We want to make sure that the neighborhood can, one, issue complaints to you. So I'd like for the RA to have a clear display of their information for any complaints, especially as it relates to parking within off-sites, any restricted. Again, I can't put a limit on where, but I would not like for it to become a burden on the existing neighborhood, and definitely not on during school hours. So just being proactive in how we manage parking, and I hope that we can come up with some appropriate language today as clarifying conditions of approval. But also so that addresses the security. Want to make sure that this is a frat house. I live next to just a multi-unit house and used by students, and parties run until 3 in the morning. I do have the parties go through. It's an accepted understanding that they are going to have those, but I would like to put a caution and an actual noise requirement of how, when they can have loud music that permeates into the quietness in the residential neighborhood beyond it. So looking to get some additional clarification, and I hope as applicant, you are open to these additional conditions.
Yeah, taking notes on all of these now. We'll definitely take these into consideration. When it comes to, again, any sort of noise party thing, there is going to be someone on site who will be enforcing that.
Okay.
And we will also talk with the parish about some sort of way for the neighborhood to issue complaints directly regarding things like noise. So that way, if there is something going on that maybe the RA is not privy to, or they're sick or something, there'll be some sort of process in place to address that.
And we'll make that conditions of approval. It'll be both for security and parking.
Fantastic.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions to the applicant before I open it up for public comment? Okay. Seeing none, thank you, applicant. I will now open for public comment. Oh, I'm sorry. Please come over. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. And I can't see the time, but how about we give you 3 minutes?
Well, actually, there are 3 minutes left, so you want to go ahead with that? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. 7 minutes was his speak. Okay.
So thank you very much for your questions. Yeah, so with the drop-off and pick-up of students right now, that happens on the other side of campus. So we don't go that way when there used to be, when we had many more students at the school. So we do not expect to be able to drop off or go that way with the parking. I heard all of your concerns about noise and things, and yes, and we, can't tell you. Yes, I was a graduate student once too.
Yes.
But this program has been run very long. It's Excel. It deals directly with teachers. I know someone said, what if we begin changing the definition what Excel is? That is a Santa Clara University program directed especially at, as it was stated, Catholic school teachers training to serve in underserved parishes or minority parishes throughout our diocese and the state of California in the future, and in the United States in the future. And so that is what our plan is, and I'm here to answer any questions too if you have any direct for me.
Thank you again. And could you identify yourself?
My name is Father Mark Arntzen. I'm the pastor of St. Lawrence Martyr Parish.
Appreciate you being here.
What? 3 years. Yeah.
He knows everybody in the town, so thank you so much.
No, I don't. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Any questions to the applicant still? Okay. Thank you again for being here and for the additional clarifications. Truly appreciate your role through enabling this housing for students. Much, much needed. Okay. Any other members of community? Public comment is open now. Anybody online? Give me a cue
Actually,
here.
someone did just raise their hand.
Okay, 2 participants have raised their hand.
Alan, you'll be promoted and you'll be able to speak. You will have 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I have questions regarding the parking and as well as the traffic. So for the parking, will there be like visitor to this student, which could potentially overflow to the nearby residential parking space? I mean, like the curbside. So the second question would be the traffic, because like that's really close to the Lawrence Expressway cross street. And in the morning, it's really crowded and a lot of like illegal left turn happening already. So like with this facilities available, would that cause even more traffic jams than over in that area?
Are those the only 2 questions? I just paused to make sure we heard you fully.
These are my questions. Only 2.
Thank you so much. We will address it through staff responses.
Yes, so The parking will be designated for students. I will turn it over to the applicants for how they want to handle visitors, if they want to designate visitor parking as well. Gino, do you have a response?
Visitor parking has not been something we have worked on for this project as of yet. But that is something that can, if we want to add it as a condition of approval, we can definitely look into that.
Thank you again. And the second question, staff, do you want to take a shot at what counts for a traffic study? What's the current requirement that will mitigate for perceived traffic impact?
Yes, traffic impact has not been provided. There's been 25 students at maximum. And as said, for the other part of the larger campus, there's a different entrance for those students currently. Gino, do you know if students will always be leaving and exiting at the same time? I know they are full-time students, so they might just have the same commute as a full-time person working in office.
Yeah, so as they are all part of the same program and will be teaching, they'll be leaving around when teachers normally would, which in our experience is usually a little bit earlier than your average 9-to-5 worker, just due to having to get to class, get everything set up for the day and things like that. However, it is a relatively small amount of people, so we do not anticipate any large traffic impacts as a result of this.
And could you help clarify the hours that the resident, student, however we want to call them, will be within the building and mostly off the building?
If Father Mark is still there, I would defer to him as he's had more conversations with the University of Santa Clara regarding their program.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yes, they will all be actively teaching in a school somewhere in the county of Santa Clara or up in the San Mateo County, I guess it would be the next one north. So yeah, when I was a former teacher, so they usually get to school at 7:30 in the morning, 7:45, depending on what time school starts. And so I would anticipate them leaving sometime between 6:45 and 7:15, unless they're, of course, working at St. Lawrence Martyr, which they'll walk out the door and just walk across campus. And yeah, so that normally they will be there during non-work hours. I anticipate some being getting home between 4 and 5 and leaving, as I said, early in the morning. So, but yeah, and then during the summer when they may not be teaching, there are classes at Santa Clara that will be held at different hours and things like that. And so those times will be variant depending on what classes or when the students need to be at campus during that time.
Thank you for your response. Thank you. Are there any other members of the public?
See none.
Okay. Thank you again. I will have a motion to close public comment.
So move.
I'm sorry, technically, we need a rebuttal to the 2-minute comment.
Okay.
that we received, if the applicant wants it.
Gino, this is an opportunity again to give 5 minutes to you to have a rebuttal, and if you want to add any additional clarifications to the responses already requested.
No, I believe we've adequately addressed everything so far.
Thank you, Gino. With that acknowledgement, can we have a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close public comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Biagini. Commissioner, seconded by Commissioner Bhatnagar.
Go ahead and cast your vote, please. Commissioner Bhatnagar? Yes. Okay, the motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for the deliberation. Very good questions, and thank you, staff. Again, I want to just start by saying thank you, applicant. This is a need in the community, and thank you for the service your staff, your students will provide again as staff in the future. Teacher housing is an important element, and I appreciate the program that specifically aligns with the goals and vision of the university, but also finds its own resources to convert existing vacant, dormant buildings into viable buildings that support housing needs. So with that, I'll encourage any other thoughts, conditions. Commissioner Biagini.
I second everything you said.
Thank you. And as we have recognized, the motion will add some additional conditions, as that will help at least address future concerns related to this property, this use, and of course, some anticipated spillover into the neighborhood. So I would like to see if anybody wants to collate.
I'll make the first motion.
Okay.
Because it's easy.
I figured.
All right. I'll recommend that we determine that the project is categorically exempt from formal environmental review under Class 32, Section 15332, infill development projects of the CEQA guidelines. And I'm taking that separate, unless you want me to do them both.
Separate.
Okay.
Always seekers.
Period.
I only learned it at the last meeting that I ever will be chair, but okay. Separate, and I need a second for that. Thank you. A motion by Commissioner Biagini, second by Commissioner Crutchlow. We now have the CEQA categorically exempt.
Okay, go ahead and cast your vote, please.
My vote is yes.
Thank you.
And thank you again. Now we have an opportunity.
Commissioner Busa, your vote is not registering. Okay, I will call out the vote because Granicus is down and it can't be seen. So we have and it disappeared from me. It was approved with Commissioner Busa abstaining. So 6 yes and 1 abstain. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, moving to the second, to actually approve the conditional use amendment. Somebody wants to collate any other additional conditions?
At some risk, I'll give it a try.
Okay, we will be here to build upon it.
I will be accepting friendly amendments. All right, adopt a resolution to approve a conditional use permit for the conversion of the existing convent into dormitory-style housing at 2001 Lawrence Court, subject to findings and conditions of approval, which include adding visitor parking. And I'm waiting for my colleagues that had words around security and the rest of the parking to speak up.
Okay. I'll give it a shot. To ensure that security on premises will monitor for activity, post nighttime activities, I should say, or limit parties, however that is more professionally said.
And then we had one about parking.
Yeah.
Pursuant to Section 18.114.050, the Planning Commission may approve or conditionally approve a conditional use permit only after the first making all of the following findings, right? So so when we talk about security and all that, D there, seems to me it says operation of the use of location proposed would not be detrimental to the harmonious and orderly growth of the city or endanger, jeopardize, or otherwise constitute a hazard to the public convenience, health, interest, safety, or general welfare, and so on and so on. Does that cover?
That excellence, thank you. Thank you for reading through that and allowing that language to hold. Staff and, I'm sorry, commission members, are you comfortable with that acknowledgement that existing condition of approval meets the intent of ensuring that the premise and the use is secure and safe?
I am sure, because given the prior use of that, if it wasn't secure, we would have heard about it.
Okay.
Takes care of security.
Security and then parking.
Is there another thing you want me to add?
And what was the last one? Somebody.
There was security and visitor parking, and I thought there was another.
Commissioner Crutchlow was concerned about the Excel program, that that the housing facilities be reserved only for students that are part of the Excel program, and so that if ever persons other than graduate students enrolled in that Excel program want to stay there, they first get an amendment to the use permit. And in addition, any significant modification to the Excel program would first require an amendment to the use permit before any persons in a modified program could use the housing.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I'll take that friendly amendment.
Want me to bundle that up? P4 will now read, the student housing facilities are to be reserved only for students that are part of the Santa Clara University Excellent in Catholic Education and Leadership Graduate Student Program, or Excel program. Other than a resident assistant and/or building supervisor, no housing shall be provided to persons other than graduate students enrolled in the Excel program without first obtaining an amendment to the use permit. In addition, any significant modification to the focus of the Excel program shall require an amendment to the use permit.
Couldn't do it without you. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Can we also add on there that if it's ever anything's gonna, if it's ever gonna change, that the residents around the area more than 300 feet will be notified if there's any?
I think that would have to be a separate topic. I agree with you when we do it, but I think.
Yeah.
You can,
Put it in that condition?
you can add a condition in the event the applicant seeks an amendment to the use permit at any time in the future, a minimum radius of
Say 1,000 feet or?
1,000 feet shall be used for public noticing on such amendment.
Thank you.
That works. I'm okay with adding that, too.
And I'd like to add with a friendly amendment that staff, the RA, or whoever is responsible for maintaining the property has a contact information that is visible on their website and on the premises to allow neighbors to reach out for any concerns or reporting any incidents.
Hold on. Do you really want the RA doing that, or do you want them contacting other staff? I think making that,
It should, my thought process is this, the RA should be the first one handling it and responsible or accountable for it. The city nuisance code already kicks in for any violations or any reporting, and it automatically triggers code enforcement.
How about Father Marcus at the rectory?
How about
See
Mother
him knock on his door in the middle of the night.
Or Mother Superior?
He's
with
nodding
a
his head,
big
yeah.
long-
hold on. All kidding aside, I mean,
Yes.
hold on. The resident advisor, I just want to be sure I'm clear. Normally, they are students themselves who are getting paid a stipend of some type to be an RA. Is that my understanding in this case, or is the RA a person who is hired specifically to work at that facility full-time?
Father, sorry for the quick interruption.
I'm sorry, yeah. So I understood that they could only be members of the Excel program living there, so it would have to be a student, unless
RA.
you said we would
Okay.
hire a monitor that would live there, a young adult professional or someone else, that would then take the complaints and deal with the facility. But as of this point, the person would be living there, and they'd be a member of the Excel program,
Okay.
and that would be my understanding.
Commissioner Susan.
So are you washing your hands out of if any problems arise?
No. I mean, if someone.
Okay, so let's clarify.
Yeah, no. I mean, if someone called the rectory and said, there's a big, huge party going over on there, and they're making all sorts of noise and yelling, whatever, I would walk over there and we would stop it.
Thank you so much. Again, are you on premises?
Yes, we live on premise.
I
Yeah,
see.
we live on the other side of campus, so I wouldn't necessarily hear it.
Yeah.
But if someone called, we do have an emergency line at the parish where people can call and get in touch with one of the two priests on staff.
So I'm just going to make it a generic then, condition of approval to say, any reporting of incidents and concerns related to use of property be brought to the responsible party for the diocese, as well as the church, or to the resident program administrator. I don't know how else to say it. Okay, Thank you so much. So I think we've captured,
Do you write all that down?
May I ask the maker of the motion to clarify the visitor parking condition you added? What specifically was that?
Because the comment was made that they hadn't considered visitor parking, that they would be willing to consider it, so that I'm looking that they add some visitor parking. I'm not putting a minimum or maximum, but I think, does that work good enough? Or do you want me to give you a number?
Applicant shall provide visitor parking spaces in a quantity satisfactory to the Director of Community Development.
That sounds great. Thank you.
thank you so much. I know we are trying to address a concern, but don't have a threshold to make the concern a valid. So it's qualitative, can't put the words to quantitative.
And I'd remind the commission that as proposed, there's a specific number of spaces being provided on-site and a large number being provided off-site. Do you care where the visitor spaces are between those two, or, okay, so.
Correct.
So I'll add to what I just said, to be distributed.
Within the existing program.
Yes.
Support management of the diocese, the church, and Santa Clara University.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you again. Thanks, Xander.
Somebody needs to second that.
Okay, that's the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Critchlow seconded. We have a motion with some additional conditions of approval. Staff has captured it. Elizabeth, good luck, but.
So this motion is to approve staff recommendation 2. Now, I'm not going to get this all correct. I know Xander will help me when I'm doing the minutes, including the following conditions. Basically ensuring security is on the premises. Applicant shall provide visitor parking only for students in the Excel graduate program. And if the applicant seeks to change the use permit, that a radius, did we determine the feet?
1,000.
Okay, a radius.
Or a minimum of. Or a minimum of 25 properties around.
Shall be used for public noticing, and contact information for the RA will be available for reporting of disturbances or instances, basically. Is that correct? Okay.
Correct. Thank you so much for keeping us all point, and I'm sure there's additional details. The devil is in the detail there, but it's more than just the RA. Okay. Can I have...
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Commissioner Biagini and Commissioner Buza. So go ahead and cast your vote, please.
Yes.
And the vote passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you again. Okay. Moving us along, we have the, let's go back now that we have Commissioner Huang. I think, wait, let me check. Okay, let's go back to item item 3, where we were discussing the action on a conditional use permit, PLN 2400112, for a new unmanned telecommunication facility with indoor equipment storage area and a new 80-foot tall monopine Verizon wireless at 3536 Monroe Street. And we've heard half the projects from staff. We now would like to call the applicant. Please identify yourself. You have 10 minutes to add to the presentation. Philip Decker, I believe, is the applicant.
Hello, yes, this is Philip Decker from SAC Wireless on behalf of Verizon Wireless. I don't believe there was already a presentation made. Am I correct on that?
Yes, Mr. Decker, we were wishing you were here to hear it out. There were a few questions from members of the commission, which is why we had to continue the item.
Okay, yeah, well, then I would not really add to that presentation, just I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Okay, thank you again, and I'm sure we have questions still pending. Commissioner Biagini.
I had a question about, were other sites considered?
Yeah, so when we get a search ring, it's just pretty much the area around where the tower went, and we first look for if there's any co-location opportunities. There is actually antennas for another carrier on a church on an adjacent property, but just from looking at the rooftop and the fact that there are already antennas there that would interfere with it, we kind of ruled that one out. And then there are no other co-location opportunities in the area that would enable us to avoid constructing this tower.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Beach? And to expound on it a little more, your talks failed with your other carrier, or was there a bandwidth limitation?
There's a different carrier on an adjacent church to
Yeah,
this one.
we see that in the
that's on
visual.
rooftop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it rooftop would not support any additional weight, and also since there's already antennas on the roof, putting additional ones there for a different carrier, those signals would interfere with each other.
Got it. And for your coverage, what I think, if I can extract a little more, for the coverage needed that shows were there any other properties that were looked at before you came to this, is what the question is, and I'm hoping to clarify.
If you're not talking specifically about like ruling out any other co-location opportunities, just pretty much we looked at most of the properties in the area to see if they're zoned to allow telecommunications. If there's a height maximum that we would have to stay under, if there's space enough for the tower, and then just finding a landlord who is interested in the project.
Thank you.
We had a resident who questioned, and so I'm going to pass the question on to you. What about the little strip of land located on French Street up against Lawrence Expressway, or the vacant lot at Lawrence and Poinciana Drive where the strip mall had burned down, or even something over Calabasas Creek? I'm sure the resident is listening in and would be interested in your response.
I'm not familiar with the area in general, so I don't know where Calabasas Creek is. Is it within like a couple blocks in any direction? Are these the properties you mentioned all within the close area?
Calabasas Creek is not within a few blocks.
I don't think it's that close.
No, I mean, I live right by that area, and so it's, I would say it's about 5 blocks to Calabasas Creek. And that's
And then
also
there's
owned by
Lawrence and
the water
Poinciana.
company.
It's even further down.
That's even
Yeah.
further down, okay. Calabasas Creek, that's even further down.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you get out of that area, you're getting, the coverage you're going to have is very, very different from what they're probably looking to do,
Okay,
would be my guess.
okay, that satisfies my question.
Thank you, Philip. I know Commissioner Salem, you had a question on the collapse. Go ahead. Do you want to ask that?
Were there any studies done on the impacted areas if the tower were to collapse? I know it's more than 100 feet from the nearest homes, but is there any chance it would collapse onto the church area itself in an earthquake or I mean, the worst case, sabotage or something like that? Has any study been done on that to see which buildings would be affected if it was to fall on them?
I mean, I don't believe we do specific studies that if the tower were to fall, but we do structural analysis, and we get go through building permit entitlement processes just like any other construction to ensure that it would not do that.
So one of the things that we are looking to reaffirm through this process is that you will be able to present a collapse study to ensure that you know, and we all, at least on record, have the risk for a collapse associated with this building, with this monopole.
Risk assessment.
A risk assessment, basically a collapse risk assessment. Would you be open to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not specifically familiar with that type of document, but if it could be made a condition of approval, yeah, I imagine that would be fine.
Yeah, and I think in all practical aspect, it'll be your structural engineer giving you an additional validation of the radii of the risk if there is a incident or a high seismic calamity. Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have.
Commissioner
I do.
Crutchlow? Go ahead.
So it's 80 feet up. The antennas, the way that they are set up, at what point does it actually get to the ground from 80 feet? How far away before that signal actually hits ground?
Directly under the tower will be like improved for the signal.
Okay, so you don't have a donut hole there of
No, it's not.
too
It's
much.
not. They're not like that. No.
Okay. And then what is the approximate wattage this is putting out?
I would have to look into that. I'm not entirely sure.
What frequencies is it running at?
I'm sure it's there somewhere in the report if you dig in far enough.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can pull up the information.
Okay, thank you so much.
So are you at like the question like what frequency?
What's the
does
frequency
Verizon
and what's the
operate?
wattage? Yes.
This is just specifically just cell, right? So 5G.
Yeah, so I mean, like they're all within like the FCC mandated bands for Verizon. There's several frequencies we operate on. I can make the radio frequency data sheet or portions of it available, but it's it's just several different frequencies that we operate on.
Okay.
Has FCC reviewed this already?
No, not yet. Not yet.
So they're waiting for, okay, so we have a granddaddy who'll look at it again with all the requirements of cell towers meeting federal commission rules for telecommunication towers. So any other questions to the applicant? Okay, seeing none, thank you again for being here. I know that was a pull away for something. I would like to now I would like to open for public comment. Do we have any members in-house or online?
Don't see anybody online.
Thank you for coming for me. Anybody in the room? Not on this item. Thank you so much again. I would like to now have a motion or a rebuttal. Thank you, Xander. Applicant rebuttal or final pitch?
Nothing further from me.
Thank you so much, Philip. Okay, can I have, we have a motion to close public comment by Commissioner Biagini, seconded by Commissioner Boozer. Okay.
Okay, please cast your vote. Okay, the motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there any further deliberation, or can we go to a motion for the application itself?
Just a comment.
Go ahead.
It might help in the future to inform the applicants that they're going to be dealing with a commission that has extremely technical and experienced people, architect, structural engineer, technicians.
I'm sure Philip
Yeah.
is taking good account.
It's a
but
good idea to come with your answers in prepared, yeah. That's all, thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, staff, I know you did all your due faith effort, but just reminding applicants in the future to be there or yield. Thank you so much. Usually, we would highly encourage the applicant to always be here present or risk the continuation of the application.
I have a question for the rest of the commissioners, if I may.
Yes.
So in regards to, asking about if the pole falls down or whatever like that, I'm assuming that there must be already regulations and such that take into account all that. And if that's the case, then I would like to learn what's the concern in this particular instance. Why would this be a concern, given that it should already be covered?
It's a great question. We can always deliberate on whether that should be added as a condition of approval, or if we recognize the other entity's responsibility for ensuring safety and security.
Yeah, I mean,
of-
I'm not assuming that I know what that.
What the FCC
what that
is.
Not the FCC, what the regulation for building a pole in there. I do know from other things where I've seen, if you put a solar panel up at this height, it has to have all these other conditions in order for it to be properly anchored and such. I would assume that that law's there, but I'm assuming, so I want to just, I'm asking, is there something that we don't know about?
Commissioner Salem has
I can
a thought.
actually answer that. It's normally not a concern at all because usually these poles are erected with more than clear space for the height of the pole surrounding it. In this case, when I looked at the plans, it was within the 80 feet to hit the church. So that actually would generate a concern. I don't know which legal specific document they might have to supply to guarantee that the pole would not fall in that direction. There are mechanisms that are put into place in the structural design of the poles to allow it to have a safe failure, which means rather than fall over on the church, it would fall down. It would split at the center. There'd be hinge and break points where the pole, under super stress, would, if it's exceeding the guide wire limits, it would collapse downwards and therefore fail safely. But if that's not the case, then the pole could, in fact, collapse onto the church or into any nearby property that was less than 80 feet away. And that would be a concern. So that's why you ask for that sometimes, to see if you're not creating a dangerous situation that, 10 years or 20 years later triggers. So that's all. Thank you.
All of a sudden, you're bringing stuff up in my mind, that is incredible. One was in Cabrillo, across from the teen center. There's a church right there, Lutheran church, that has a cell tower, but it's right almost next to the church. So if that thing comes down, like you're mentioning, well, you're going to be hitting a lot of stuff. And there's also another one on
Well, I don't want to
Bowers
raise
and
a
Barclay.
panic.
Yeah.
Let's not raise a panic unnecessarily.
I'm going like, wait a minute, a lot of them out there are close. I'm just
Thank you
thinking.
so much. Yes, let's not react to what could have. I don't want it to become a panic mill, but thank you so much for the thoughtful confirmation on what the collapse study can do. Commissioner Biagini, if you're ready with the motion.
The first motion, recommend that, determine that the project is categorically exempt from formal environmental review per section 15303D, new construction of utility extensions of the CEQA guidelines, period.
Can I have a second on it, please?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Bhatnagar? Sorry.
Biagini and Critchlow, is that correct? Or-
Commissioner Biagini motion, Commissioner Bhatnagar
Oh,
seconded.
Bhatnagar, okay, thank you.
Thank you. We can do it.
Okay.
I think I can do the other one.
Okay, and we have a vote to take.
Okay, the motion is to approve staff recommendation 1. Go ahead and cast your vote, please. And the motion passed unanimously. Thank you.
Now for the second motion.
I suppose I'm the motion maker
You are.
tonight. Okay, let me give this a shot. Adopt a resolution, and I will, of course, accept friendly amendments because I want to make sure I capture this correctly. Adopt a resolution to approve a conditional use permit to allow a new telecommunication facility at 3536 Monroe Street, subject to conditions of approval, including let's see if I say this right.
Collapse.
A collapsed impact study of the risk assessment in the event of a catastrophic.
In the event of any failure of the
Yeah,
monopole.
there you go. In the event of any failure. Did I leave something out?
The structure.
Yeah, collapsed impact study, risk assessment done in the event of any
So,
failure. And the
May I-
corrections implemented thereof if there's no state law otherwise.
may I add some flourish? Applicants shall obtain a collapse study from a contractor and in a form satisfactory to the Director of Community Development to demonstrate that the risk to neighboring properties in a seismic event will be minimized. The director shall have the discretion to require modifications to the design to reduce risks identified by the collapse study.
I would remove seismic because the monopole can fail by itself without any highway.
So neighboring properties, to demonstrate that the risk to neighboring properties will be minimized.
Yes.
No reference to seismic event.
Thank you. I think I was trying to say that, but you said it so much better. Thank you, Xander.
My pleasure.
You might want to simplify it to collapse analysis of any structures within the collapse radius. So you're not needing to know whether something a mile away is at risk. It's not. It's only things within the 80-foot collapse radius.
We said neighboring properties. Do you want to change that to properties within the collapse radius?
Yes, that's it.
The risk to properties within the collapse radius will be minimized. And I assume the commission would like this study to be performed prior to building permit issuance.
Thank you, that's what I was struggling with a little bit, but
So,
yes.
as drafted, we currently have two conditions, P1 and P2, that apply prior to building permit issuance. We have conditions P3 to P6 that occur prior to occupancy. Because we want this to be done prior to building permit issuance, I'd recommend that your motion include renumber existing conditions P3 to P6 as P4 to P7, and the new condition you just added will be new condition P3.
Okay, under during,
Acknowledged.
yeah, what he
We
said.
all look at whatever he said.
Could that be 2B during construction, which is right before P3? I don't know. We're going to renumber
Well,
some
I
and
think
throw
you
that
want
up
it to
in
be
front.
prior to building permit issuance,
Yes.
because if there's a modification that needs to be done, you don't want them to start
Yes.
building until they've redesigned.
You have the intent, so I'll let you play with the words
He
with
said it,
Elizabeth.
we take it.
That's
So
right.
it's
What you said.
P4 through P7, adding condition P3.
There we go.
Okay? Yay. Okay.
There's a P10. Somebody else gets to make the next motion.
Can't wait for next meeting.
Without objection, the motion carries.
I second that.
Oh, you did, okay.
Sorry. Okay, we're still having fun here. Sorry about that. We are making sure that the language is captured. We have a motion by Commissioner Biagini. Did I hear a second? Commissioner, who gave me a second?
Second.
Commissioner Booza. I hope you know what you're seconding.
Okay, well, I'm not going to really try to paraphrase this, but this is to approve staff recommendation 2, basically including a collapse impact study, and then Xandra can provide the additional language about affected properties prior to building permit being issued, and to add new condition P3.
With this condition, and renumber P4 through P7.
Renumber existing P3 to P6 as new P4 to P7.
It's okay.
That.
Sorry, didn't mean to laugh. Okay, very good. Go ahead and cast your vote, please.
Yes.
And the motion passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trying to keep us in order here for the last, at least applicant-based public hearing. Action on conditional use permit to install 4 additional emergency generators at the McLaren Data Center located at 737 Matthew Street. Do we have staff report?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I will share my screen for the staff presentation.
Could you speak a little louder, staff? It might be my
Yes.
ears.
Yes, sorry. Okay, so this is Tiffany Bien, Associate Planner, giving the staff presentation for the proposed project at 737 Matthew Street. The request is for a conditional use permit to install 4 additional generators, emergency generators, at the approved data center site located at 737 Matthew Street. The existing site area is 8.97 acres. The site is in the heavy industrial zoning district and has a heavy industrial general plan designation. The surrounding land uses to the north, south, west, and east are all industrial uses. The project site is built with 3 data center buildings, a paved surface parking lot, and an SVP substation. To provide some background on this site, the McLaren Data Center, which is also known as the Vantage Data Center Facility, was approved at the February 6, 2019 Architectural Committee meeting. The previously approved project included demolition of the existing industrial warehouse, manufacturing, and office facilities, as well as the associated surface parking for the construction of 3 data center buildings, buildings CA21, CA22, and CA23, a paved surface parking lot, and a total of 50 emergency generators and an SVP substation. Building CA21 was fully operational by November 1st, 2019. Building CA22 was fully operational by February 1st, 2022, and the 2nd through 4th floors of building CA23 have been constructed. This is the site plan. The proposal is to install 4 additional emergency generators for building CA23 for the purpose of meeting the power backup and redundancy requirements of Vantage Data Center's current customer. These 4 additional emergency generators would be identical to the 17 emergency generators previously approved and installed for building CA23. The 4 additional emergency generators would result in a total of 54 generators at the project site. Here is the floor plan, which shows the 4 proposed generators. The backup generators are necessary to supply electricity for continued data center operations in the event of an electrical power outage. The 4 additional emergency 2.75 megawatt generators will be located outside of building CA23 and enclosed in the generator yard. In terms of environmental review, as part of the discretionary approval consistent with CEQA, the McLaren Data Center initial study and mitigated negative declaration was approved by the CEC on November 12, 2018 to demolish the previous industrial buildings on site to construct the data center complex. For the proposed project, an addendum to the approved ISM&D for the McLaren Data Center was prepared in accordance with CEQA. The proposed project described in the addendum is consistent with the approved project and would not result in a new impact on the environment or significantly increase the severity of any previously identified impact. So the staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution to adopt the addendum to the 2018 ISM&D and to adopt a resolution to approve the conditional use permit for the 4 additional emergency generators. And that concludes the staff presentation.
I know this was an application that was in our packets, I believe 3 months ago, 4 months ago. So thank you again, and the report was all of 300 pages, so I give them the book. But if anybody asks any questions, you haven't read the report then. Okay. No, I said if you're asking any questions, it means you haven't read the report. I'm kidding. Again, any questions to staff before? Okay. Okay, Commissioner Salam came up.
Was the noise study updated to include the 25% increase in the number of generators? And were any of the adjacent properties notified of the?
Staff.
Hopefully that made sense.
Staff question, again, sorry, you came very light.
Okay, was the noise study updated to include the 25% increase in generators? And was any of the adjacent properties or neighbors informed of the increase that's potentially coming from this?
Want to clarify, it's 4 generators. The current number is 50 generators. So it's about less than 10% at this time?
Well, no, it was 17. They were talking about adding 4 to
generators.
17.
No, it's 50 generators that are already there.
Okay.
They're adding 4 new generators for a total of 54. And the noise study, the emission study is in the packet, but staff is welcome to address the details, or applicant can.
Yes, the noise was studied in the addendum, and the applicants, like I said, are also here today, so they can answer any questions for you.
Tiffany has a great way of holding the applicant accountable. Okay.
I think that the question was also, were the neighbors notified?
Oh, yes, the neighbors were notified of the proposed additional 4 generators.
Was the neighbor right directly across the street, or their building is under construction right now? Were they notified too?
The notice was sent.
There's a,
I mean, the notices went to the property owner's record.
didn't get one.
Okay, thank you, staff. Go ahead, Commissioner Bhatnagar.
So, question to staff. In these sorts of instances, the city regulation seems to suggest some distance, 300 feet or thereabouts, to notify residents, which is, in my experience, which is a notification on an electricity pole or a traffic light pole. The question I'm trying to ask is, and what the commission probably wants to know is, is there a requirement to ensure that each resident within the radius specified gets a notice? Or is this just a public notice in a public space within the 300 feet or however we claim to make it?
There's both mailed notice and posting, but in this case, we didn't mail to a 300-foot radius.
So the mailings were made to individual residents within 300?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you again for reiterating. That's something that we will continue to look at on the outreach policy. At the moment, the city code prescribes 300 feet mail out in addition to the public noticing both online through CEQA requirements and also accessible at the planning office. Any other questions to staff?
No, I have a question for the applicant.
Okay. With that, I'd like to invite the applicant. Do we have the applicant? You have 10 minutes, and we missed you the first time around.
Hi. Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Eric Wenstrom. I'm the Director of Construction for California for Vantage. And we appreciate the longstanding partnership with Santa Clara. Thank you for your time, and thanks to staff for all their help. Oh, thank you, Jen. Tiffany did such a good job presenting. I'll keep it short. As noted, we are requesting a use permit for the installation of 4 additional emergency generators at our 737 Matthews project, which was approved in 2019. This request also includes an installation of diesel particulate filter and abatement devices on all backup generators at Building 23 and minor changes to the stack locations for generators at Building 22 as described in your staff report. But I didn't see that added to the motion and resolution, so I was hoping we could add that portion there to the motion and resolution.
Can you reiterate again? Sorry, say that again.
This request also includes the installation of diesel particulate filters and abatement devices on all backup generators at Building 23.
I see. Okay.
And minor changes to stack locations for generators at Building 22.
And is that requirement from BACMID?
Yes.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
We are requesting these 4 extra generators because of administrative oversight during the project approval process. 50 generators were approved as part of the original entitlements, but the building permit package included 54 generators. So we're just requesting, we're requesting that we clean this up in order to achieve the necessary power backup to support our obligations to the customer. Importantly, these generators will not require additional electrical demand, and they will not increase the testing hours. So even though we have 54 generators, we will still maintain the same number of hours the generators operate each year as a total. Moreover, the addendum before you demonstrates that these additional generators would not cause any additional impact, noise, and air quality in particular. In fact, because of the new Tier 4 emissions control requirements for generators, there will be an overall decrease in emissions from the originally entitled
I saw that.
project. These emergency generators will become permissible in this use zone once the new zoning map is effective in August, but because the map has been pushed out, we would like to get this approved now so we can proceed with the installation and deliver the building on time to our tenant. Our team is here on Zoom for any questions, and ask for your support in this request, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Jennifer Rank, Land Use Council for Vantage. I just wanted to circle back on the language that we want to make sure makes it into the motion and the reso, because that's the goodies that are the things that are going to be attached to the generators that keep the emissions down. So it's in your staff report. So it's the, the diesel particulate filters and selective catalytic reduction abatement devices. And then there's also a minor change to the final stack location. So I don't think that was in the use permit reso. So if that could just get folded into the motion, that would be great, because then we get all the good Tier 4 measures that'll keep the emissions down. So thank you.
Thank you for additional clarification. We have questions. Commissioner Boozer?
Yes, can you come on? Got a couple questions for you. How many more additional gallons of fuel do you require at the location? How many gallons of fuel do you already have there?
Does anybody on the Zoom have the fuel tank specifications? What is it? 5,000 gallons per
generator?
Per generator, yeah.
Holy smokes. Okay. I'm glad that you're putting, changing the emissions on it, but you're adding 4 more. So even though you're changing the emissions, you're still adding quite a bit, and you're running it for 2,000 hours a year, those generators?
Yeah, but the aggregate emissions will still be reduced. It won't be an incremental reduction.
54?
Yeah, we're adding Tier 4 on all of it, well, on all of
On all of them?
23,
On 23 of them?
on a third of them.
On they're in levels.
Yeah,
So they're adding additional air emission controls
on all of them.
on the
On
surface.
17
That is
associated with CA 23.
It's the tiered approach, but
Yeah, but-
if staff wants to help pull up the
Yeah.
graphic on the elevations,
Do you have them?
I think it's in the packet. Any other questions while we are pulling up? Staff, do you want to walk us through the question from Commissioner Boozer?
Yeah, so the 4 generators will be added into the generator yard outside of building CA 23. That's the building that only the 2nd through 4th floors have been constructed.
And it's slightly feeble in this drawing, but Commissioner Boozer, if you can, yeah, look at the layers. So the filtration is going up, so it's added to the topmost. I don't know, sorry.
So it's 21, if you add these 4, it's 21 generators total that will have the Tier 4.
Yeah, there's also,
The other ones were in operation prior to the updated requirement from BACMed.
there's also a factor too, the noise level that getting complaints. I heard a lot of this residents about less than about a quarter of a mile to almost a half a mile. So there's some residents in that area that are also off of Lafayette that complain about the noise levels. Man, we hear all this noise all the time. So running the generators 2,000 hours, I don't know what the noise level will be on that too. So that's one of my concerns. But we have it there, it's already built. We're stuck with it.
Duly
we like it or
noted,
not.
and we will take that up in my spiel later, but
Yeah,
any other questions?
No other
Okay.
questions.
Any other questions from, Commissioner Bhatnagar has a question coming up.
So my original question was why within 6 years of approval, 2018, we are having to add 4 more, but you answered that. There was some oversight that you're trying to correct. Fair enough. Question to staff, rather. In the original approval, there would have been all these conditions about noise and things like that. And if I read the conditions of approval, there's typically a stipulation to go check also at some annual or biannual level timeframe. So has there ever been a check as to what the noise levels are? Do we have some measurement that we can either confirm or refute the anecdotal evidence that there's a lot of noise going around.
Well, I mean, when it comes to backup generators, no. We limit the number of hours that they can operate, and our environmental analysis calculates how much noise is anticipated based on that. But we don't go out with noise meters around data centers and measure except when there's a complaint. We did receive a complaint about certain data centers in the last couple of years, and the council actually hired a noise consultant to take various measurements in response to those complaints. For good or bad, those tests didn't produce any usable information that, I mean, we didn't find anybody violating any of the noise standards. But no, just measuring the noise of an individual backup generator location is not usually part of the process. It's complaint-based, but they have to comply with the hours of, the maximum number of hours that they can operate.
Can I follow up with the question? Do we have a noise ordinance with the city?
Why, yes, Chair, we do have a noise ordinance in this
And what's
city.
the decibel for a human, what's the decibel for commercial use?
Well, it depends on the zone you're in and.
For the commercial use? 50?
Maybe one of the
45?
planners can help.
Yeah, so while somebody's pulling that up, again,
I have a question if you're wanting a different one. I'm sorry.
just an extension of the thought from Commissioner Bhatnagar for the ability to now look at whether we should consider a noise evaluation or and I feel the sentiment, when they are testing, do we have an ability for the account of the noise to be submitted to the city upon whenever you finish your testing, like you have annual testing, quarterly testing, whatever it is, could you just acknowledge the ability to push that to include a noise to say it is within the approved decibels of the city to city staff?
I can definitely look into that. I have no idea what that would entail, but I can check with my team.
The noise study, so when you have all your generators whirring,
Yes.
you can have a noise consultant come and read your noise levels for the hours that it's
No,
operating
I understand that.
and submit that data.
On this particular project, because the floors 2 through 4 are already occupied by the customer, and the rest of the buildings are already occupied by the customer, it would be kind of difficult for us to do that. So I'd have to go back and see what that would look like.
And are the generators outside?
They're outside, yes.
So the noise consultant is going to be outside?
It's just, would it affect the operation of the data center to run those generators?
I think your legal counsel is ready to respond.
I've been checking in with our team. So remember that this is a component of the larger project that got approved. So it has a whole set of conditions of approval that we still have to abide by. And one of those conditions, and don't ask me to name it, is that when a building comes online and it has to be commissioned, and we'll send a report in that shows what the noise levels are, and that happens before we get our certificate of occupancy. So that's already embedded in our original conditions of approval, and so that will happen with this building.
And what's your regulatory framework with BACMed reviewing your generator compliance?
So we just need an actual, what's the ATC, what's the permit?
BACMed is Bay Area Quality
Yeah,
Management
we need
District.
the ability to construct permit, so that's the only thing left that we need from the air quality district.
And no generator periodic evaluation, failure?
No. Source testing, this is above my pay grade. But
way above ours, so you're okay.
Yeah, so the BACMed will also have conditions of approval attached to their permit that will require the same sort of regulatory oversight. So none of this is going to go unnoticed or unattended to. There's lots of layers, and just so you know, when in the noise study, the results showed that there was only 1 dB increase, which is basically unnoticeable. So just so you have that.
Thank you for that additional clarification. And thank you for supporting your colleague there. Okay.
Yeah, One of the things I noticed is he was very grateful about having his business in Santa Clara. What are you doing for Santa Clara? I mean, we need a new swim center.
Okay, way
Yeah,
above this
I
topic.
just want to say,
Okay, way above this
if you're
topic.
happy.
Thank you so much for that intrusion.
May I ask a question then?
Yes.
Okay. I was just curious, when, in reading this, each generator is 2.75 megawatts? Each or total? All four add up to 2.7? And then are all the other generators of the same capacity? So if you have 54 times 2.7, that goes over 100 megawatts, no? And doesn't it say here that does not require additional electrical demand from the existing substation will propose and does not exceed the 100 megawatt CEC threshold?
Right, so our IT capacity, well, so the CEC threshold, I'm going to have to let our team talk about that, but this was all designed into our original design and our original building permit, like I had stated here, and this is just us coming back to kind of.
Understand, but what I'm reading here, and Xander, I think I'm going to need your help here. On page 2 of the agenda, it states in the third paragraph what I just read. So again, I'm not exactly sure if I'm reading this right, but what it does say is the proposed changes do not require additional electrical demand from the existing substation. Great. Will not exceed the 100 megawatt California Energy Commission threshold. So I'm assuming it's in aggregate, and is it my mistake saying that the additional 4 do not go over the threshold? But given that this is an additional 4 to an existing 50, does that then kick it off? So Xander, I don't know if, which way this is to be read.
Right. Well, the 100 megawatts is relevant to the kind of review that the California Energy Commission performs. But whether CEC involvement is required or not doesn't affect our action tonight. I mean, if there's some error here and they do need an additional CEC approval, then they need to get it. But that doesn't affect your ability to approve the CUP tonight. So that's a good question. They should comply with state law and the CEC requirements, but I'm not concerned about your ability.
Will staff follow up on that?
I bet Ms. Rink has an answer.
As a lawyer, you don't want me to do math, but I can confirm that we have gotten confirmation from the CEC that this will not require additional approval. So that's been clear.
Okay.
We submitted.
As a lawyer, we just want to make sure that your math is 2.27 over already. So somebody take note. We've just recently watching what people fill out in forms inaccurately. So just want to make sure that we are appropriately tracking, again, to the benefit of everybody on this commission. We have both FCs, the CEC, the California Energy Commission, as well as BACMED, that provide oversight and a regulatory framework for generators, not data centers per se, but generators. So we can feel a little bit of assurance that there is other accountable entities, nothing that will redeem ourselves. But any other thoughts? Okay, thank you again. Do we have any members of public?
We don't have any requests to speak.
Thank you. And applicant, I'm supposed to do rebuttal again. Okay, thank you very much. We will now, I will now have a motion to close public comment.
Motion to close public comment?
Always by Biagini, Commissioner Crutchlow, seconded.
You're not making a motion?
Okay, go ahead and cast your vote, please.
Yes.
Your motion passed. Thank you.
Shall I make an attempt at making?
Yes,
the recommendation?
please.
Thank you, Nancy. So I will need help with the additional component that we had mentioned. So would this come in recommendation number 1? Would that be applicable, or the second one? Number 2, okay. So move to adopt the resolution to adopt the addendum to the 2018 initial study mitigated negative declaration for the McLaren Data Center. And now do I do 2 as well?
Do this one first.
Okay, then we don't do the and.
Correct. You're going to have to hold the and.
I'll hold it.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Crutchlow, second by Commissioner Biagini. I'm just reading it for the record. Sometimes voice doesn't carry over.
Okay, the motion is to approve staff recommendation 1.
Wait a minute, why do we have Verizon here?
I'm sorry, what?
We keep getting back the same thing.
We're getting the Verizon.
getting
We're getting something different.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
That's what I noticed.
I am so
wrong-
sorry. It's very difficult. Can't see it up there. We don't have that available.
it was a
I
test.
apologize.
We
I will.
passed it.
You now get to put a Verizon wireless cellular tower.
Would you like a monopine instead of an emergency
While
generator?
you're at
We
it,
would have caught it, don't worry, in the minutes, but thank you. Thank you very
we'll
much.
only add the collapse study.
But if it
Okay,
falls,
thank you.
no one's going to hear it.
Remind me again, the motion was made by,
Commissioner Biagini, I'm sorry, Commissioner Crutchlow. Seconded now by
flipped it this
Commissioner
time.
Biagini.
Okay.
Take turns.
so let's get back at it, okay.
Okay, should I take that yes off?
She has to
Alrighty.
pull up
I
this
already
one.
said yes once, so.
The motion is to approve staff recommendation 1. Please cast your vote.
Okay, there we go.
Very good, the motion passed unanimously.
Commissioner Crutchlow.
All right, as soon as this thing goes away so I can read the next part of it. There we go. So number 2, shall we add it as to the end of the sentence or somewhere else in the middle of this?
Well, I could propose language that you could
Propose
include.
language, please.
So the staff recommendation is that you would adopt a resolution approving the use permit. Paragraph 2 of the use permit currently reads that the Planning Commission hereby approves the use permit to allow installation of 4 additional emergency generators as depicted on exhibit development plans attached here to and incorporated herein by this reference. And I suggest you add the language, comma, and with the changes to the facility described in the June 12th, 2024 staff report, specifically the installation of diesel particulate filter and selective catalytic reduction abatement devices on all of the emergency backup generators at building CA23, and minor changes to the final stack locations of emergency generators at building CA22. Does that meet with the applicant's approval? So my recommendation would be you adopt the resolution with that modified paragraph 2.
So adopted.
We have a
Second,
motion by Commissioner
I'll make the
Crutchlow,
motion.
and I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Biagini as declared by staff.
Lawyers agree, you know?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not
It's not yet.
on yet. You just have extra, huh?
Okay, please go ahead and cast your vote. Okay, so the vote, hold on one second. We have 6 yes and 1 no by Commissioner Buzza. Thank you. And the motion passed.
Thank you again. I just want to add my spiel here now with data centers. While McLaren, you're welcome. You've stayed here for a while. Thank you. I do want to highlight again the stance or my value on the data centers in City of Santa Clara. Both people on City Council and probably even members of the community, no doubt, do benefit from the current data center and, even new. There was a thought process that kind of put me at pause, which is why I'm making this spiel right now for the record. there is a notion that data centers, while will generate revenue and will limit traffic impacts to the city. Okay? To me, that's a big red flag. When we say traffic in the city, I consider it the source of what makes a city thrive. Meaning people are out there, there's jobs, there's work, people are going in and out. When we choke our finite resource of land with data centers, we are just continuing to propagate less jobs in our city. The thought that traffic, people, it will create jobs and that means more traffic, I would highly challenge that thought. People know who I'm talking about on this, if they're listening to this recording. But I do not want the notion to continue that we have a 2.9 jobs to homes ratio or individuals or whatever that is. The next generation is going to struggle to find jobs. And the more we reduce our opportunity to generate jobs within our city, we are pushing more traffic out because more and more companies are going to ask people to come back to offices, and more people are going to travel to locations that have their type of jobs. And City of Santa Clara is going to minimize or limit its opportunity to have more job-creating land use. So data centers, you're here, 54, 60, depending on what permit level you're on. Great. If you're coming with a new data center application, my thought process is we look at mixed use, that they show or demonstrate that they're allied with some source of jobs or housing or other components that bring people onto the site. So I'm just going to make that a spiel because I heard it and it upset me big time. So I did not want to continue to have this propagation that more jobs means more traffic on our street. That's just the worst way to look at it.
I'd like to thank you for jumping on my bandwagon. I've been saying that for a long time. And,
Before they
and
did.
I,
Thank
yeah,
you so much.
Yeah, and I'm glad you jumped in it.
I did not. I was there before you.
No, I was there before you.
Thank you so much.
I lived here before you did.
You lived here.
And I
was
saw
here
the first
making
one.
that. But thank you so much for
And I never would have let the first one come through without saying stuff like that. And I never would have let the one behind walls by Main Street be built either. Thank you.
Thank you very much again. We do appreciate your presence. Moving to the next order of items, and let me know if you all want a small break.
Small
This
break,
is again.
please. Yeah.
Small break.
Thank you so much. We will give a 5-minute break. We're at 8:15, 8:20. Okay, and we still have consent calendar items. And then the 2 items for election. Thank you again, Commission members. We are, staff, ready? I'd like to reconvene our meeting.
Okay.
Moving to the last two items on public hearing, the favorite part of my agenda, the election of the Planning Commission Chair, Vice Chair, and Secretary. Whew.
Oh, say that with such a grin.
Thank you so much. This part of the year is the moment, according to our charter, we are required to elect new chairs, vice chairs, and secretary. I'm more than happy to have nominations on the floor.
I'd like to nominate for chair Commissioner Bagnabar.
Okay.
And I'd like to nominate Commissioner Lance Salem.
May I make a nomination? No? That's it?
No, you can't.
Okay.
You have to hear him out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I nominated Mr. Boozer as the chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to hear him out as to why, but.
Yeah.
We have two nominations for chair, Commissioner Bhatnagar. More than happy, please respond.
I heard three.
Wait, sorry, Commissioner Zander. No.
Commissioner Booza nominated Commissioner Bhatnagar. Commissioner Bhatnagar nominated Commissioner Salim.
Yes.
And then Commissioner Huang nominated Commissioner Booza. That's
No,
three.
Booza or Bhatnagar? Oh, sorry.
So we have three nominations.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay,
fine.
sorry. Okay, do we want to take, and this is for the chair, so Xander, do we take a motion by the name and allow the motion to happen?
There are two ways of doing it. Yeah, you can have all in favor of Commissioner X, or you can have each person state. Here's the thing: you cannot have secret votes under the Brown Act. So you can't. I mean, that's very black and white. So you can't write on a piece of paper and then put it into a hat. So what's the easiest way to?
So may I? I'm really grateful to my fellow commissioners here. Thank you very much, but I really do need to withdraw, unfortunately, because of changes in circumstances at work. My travel is going to increase a lot, and I do not want to be a disservice to the citizens of Santa Clara. So I'm really grateful, but please allow me to withdraw my name from the chairmanship nominations. Thank you. I'm very sure. Thank you very much.
And thank you again for your service. We continue to appreciate how much you do for us. So we have two names on the floor. We have a nomination of Commissioner Salem, and we have a nomination of Commissioner Booza for the chair. Should we take a vote? I'd recommend. How about this?
We need a motioner and a seconder, or how do we?
No seconds
Right,
for
let's try that.
nominations,
Okay.
so we can
So I'll just do it as a
simply,
motion by whoever made that motion,
you can,
and we'll just do a vote, right? Is that what you want to do, or just a hand vote?
Do you want to
What do you
do a
wanna
straw vote where we just raise hands so it's all
Can we
public?
do that, or?
And then you can make a resolution for it officially?
We don't need a resolution.
we don't need a
for this.
resolution.
We just need a
It's just,
vote.
it's the first year we've had a contested vote, so I didn't bring my usual script.
No, we've had this in the past, and we did do like 2 votes.
Yes, so basically, now is the time to vote for, you'll.
So I'll go ahead and just put the motion in, and we'll put in the first one, which was Commissioner Bhatnagar
Commissioner-
nominated Commissioner
Nope.
Salam. Okay? Oops, wait, hold on.
Yes.
Do I
Wait, I'm
want to make
sorry.
a statement first?
Say that again?
Of course.
Oh, yeah, make a statement.
Showing up for what?
Is it the cell tower?
The more is.
It's not there yet.
Commissioner Salim?
I defer to
Commissioner Booza?
Commissioner
do
to
you
start
want to make a
first.
statement?
My statement is as follows. I believe Commissioner Bagnabar would have done a great job, and whoever was vice chair can take the place when he's not around. You would do a great service to us. I hope you'd reconsider.
Mario,
I mean, you know you're getting paid for this.
Can you speak into the mic?
I'll double your salary.
To be honest, to be really honest, it may be that I will not be able to attend many commission meetings, and then that'll not even be, not even suffice as me being a commissioner. So that's the situation I'm in, Commissioner Bouza, but please, I beg you to understand, this is not something of my making, but on the other hand, I cannot let this opportunity go by either.
Okay, duly noted. So we have two names. Commissioner Alliance, would you like to make a statement?
All right, sure. I appreciate that. I've been chair once. I would not mind being chair again simply because there was a lot of learning that went into the first time, and I think I could step in and do a good job at this point. And I have the business cards, so that saves the city money. And they even say chair on it, so I can pull those out of storage, and that'll save us $20. I don't mind, Chair. I think that each one of us should have that opportunity at some point in our tenure here. But I think also it helps to have a little experience at this point to keep us moving straight forward and fast. So I would be happy to take it again, and then we can rotate again, when, next year? Is it a yearly?
It is a year.
Yeah, okay.
yes, the term is 1
Possibly
year.
2 years. Sweet revenge year.
The only thing I have to say in my favor is when I was chair in the Civil Service Commission, I had the reputation of keeping things moving really fast. And that's one thing I would like to do here, move things fast and get things get to the point.
But do you have business cards?
And I have business cards, but, I don't never give business cards out.
Okay, we have heard
I
the
would want
statements. Thank you
Vice
so
Chair.
much. We appreciate both your nominations. As you recognize, we truly value your presence. Looking forward to a vote nomination. Can you enter the name so we can actually do the vote online? Because I'm seeing a yes, no here.
I don't know what, we're having Granicus problems.
Okay.
So that's out of my control, so I'm,
Why
so-
are we
I don't see what you see, but I'm just putting the vote on
Okay,
now, so give
okay.
me one. So what we're saying is Commissioner Bhatnagar nominated,
Commissioner Saleem, just
Yes.
say appointment of Commissioner Saleem for chair.
yes, got it.
Thank you.
Okay, so you should see the vote. Tell me if you don't. Do you see it there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead and cast your vote, please.
For what?
We are now taking the vote for Commissioner Saleem
Does it not
as
show?
chair.
That's not what it's saying. It's saying election of planning commissioner, vice, and secretary. It doesn't say that specifically. Yeah.
Well, all I can tell you is, I don't know why it says that.
I
But what I
understand that,
have, what
but
I
I just
have
wouldn't-
typed is that the mover was Commissioner Bhatnagar, and I can't tell you why we're having Granicus problems, okay? So what it is this is Commissioner Bhatnagar is nominating Commissioner Saleem for chair. That's what this vote is for, so please cast your vote.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just looking, make sure I have everyone here. Hold on. Okay, so I have to read the vote because it's not going to show up. We have 4 yes votes. We have 3 no. So the motion,
Tiebreaker.
so the motion
motion
does
passes.
pass, is that correct?
Motion passes.
Nice try.
Congratulations to our new chair.
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
so the
And
motion passed.
we have a second motion.
I'd like to make a motion to elect Commissioner Busa as vice chair.
Second that, even though I don't have it.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. So I'm sorry this is not showing up for you. So Commissioner Biagini has nominated Commissioner Busa as vice chair. Go ahead and cast your vote, please.
Yes.
And the vote passed unanimously. Thank you. And now we need secretary.
Oh, yeah. May I nominate
Kressler
Krishna? Yeah.
for secretary.
Okay.
Darn it.
So Commissioner Wang has nominated Commissioner Crutchlow.
I heard Commissioner Booza make that nomination.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard you. I
Did
apologize.
Commissioner Wang, did you also make that nomination?
Yes.
Oh,
I heard Commissioner Wang on next to him, so.
well, there,
Commissioner Wang's closer.
he's
so-
closer, so that is what the record will show.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations for secretary? I should have asked that for vice chair as well, but I think it was
Okay.
implicit there weren't.
All right. Very good. Please cast your vote.
Time to vote? Yes.
Okay, and the motion passed unanimously. So starting with our the next meeting is July 10th, I believe, special meeting. So at that meeting, we will have Chair Salim, Vice Chair Booza, and Secretary Crutchlow.
And
Thank you.
thank you again
Congratulations.
for the not 1, but 2 years to get it straight opportunity to be your chair. I truly cherished every meeting with you all. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your patience.
I would like to say that I am impressed with your professionalism, your courtesy, your ability to untangle knots and interpret in a way somebody's English into a better English.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I believe that you have incredible patience.
Indeed.
I'll be there
And
right
the
next to
smart.
Oh, no, you're not going to, no, you can't be next to me because you keep bugging me.
Yeah,
I
Madam Chair, I have nothing to
Commend
say.
you so much, Priya, for your handling of the chair.
Yeah.
Amazing job. I can think of other positions I'd like to see you in, but that'll be another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You-
Simple words.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
I only
Chair,
have
you,
one.
you know here.
Thank you.
Show respect.
I only have one thing to say. You did a terrible job, and we're glad to see you gone.
Thank you so much. That's exactly what I told my mom to watch this because I was winning the Oscar nomination, and thank you so much.
You did good, Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, like that would never happen.
Thank you again to staff for all your patience. You've been a rock star team, so thank you again. I will now also make an announcement that I will not be there for the July meeting, especially because Lance said that last statement. I will choose not to be there at the meeting. All said in jest, I am so grateful that Commissioner Salim has chosen again to make take on the responsibility. It is a big responsibility, and I will be in the attendance in August. With that, may I actually close the meeting, or?
No, we have review
I
of
know.
We have a bunch of
consent.
stuff to do.
Okay, let's do consent calendar.
yeah, the fun part.
The fun part, well, I'm still chair. We still have 3 items on consent calendar, and thank you, Xander, for
There's still
pointing
number
out.
7 as well, a review of
And
the
the
Planning
last one,
Commission
yes.
iPads, so
Yeah.
that's out there.
Yes, thank you again. We have consent calendar items, item 1A. Commissioner Boozer, do you want to read out for the record?
Sure, I don't have to read the procedures or anything
No,
like that.
just the items.
Yeah, 1A is review for a proposed FY 2024-25 and FY 2025-26 biennial capital improvement program budget to conformity with the City of Santa Clara 2010-2035 general plan. Item 1, Bravo, Planning Commission meeting minutes of May 22nd of 2024. Item 1, Charlie, Planning Commission meetings of May 24th, 2023. That's it.
Thank you again. We have 3 consent calendar items. Thank you, Commissioner Wang. We want to show you were there. But I think you mentioned, Xander, who was not in
I
attendance?
was not in one of them.
On May 24th, 2023, item 1C, Commissioners Batnagar and Biagini were
Right.
absent, and Commissioner Crutchlow was not yet a commissioner. So I recommend those 3 abstain,
Okay.
unless they've viewed
I
the
withdraw
recording.
my request to speak.
So we have a request to abstain from item 1B by Commissioner,
No,
1C.
1 Charlie.
1C by Commissioner Crutchlow and Commissioner Biagini
Biagini and Batnagar.
and Bhatnagar.
That's 1C.
Only 1C. Okay, abstain vote on 1C by Commissioner Biagini and Commissioner Bhatnagar.
And Crutchlow.
And Crutchlow.
Oh, 3 of them. What were we doing in that meeting? Oh, he was
Here yet.
I wasn't here.
Got it. Okay. What were we doing?
You didn't see me.
Here yet.
I didn't do it.
Who was chair at that meeting?
I know.
Oh, wait.
Hey. Okay, so again, items 1A, 1B, and 1C. Do I have a motion?
Second?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Salem and a second by Commissioner Boozer, with an abstinence on item 1C from Commissioner Biagini and Commissioner Bhatnagar.
And
Crutchlow.
And Crutchlow. I'm done.
I can tell.
Don't like me, do you? I'm so forgettable.
You're just starting out. It's okay.
Oh, no, the iPads. Here comes the iPad.
Okay, I just wanted to give a quick color commentary on item 1A. I know it was originally meant to be on the public hearing. Was it as slated in our agendas? It was listed as a public hearing item. And I did make an effort to look at it in detail. I did appreciate the efforts both by staff and city council at the priority setting sessions to understand what should be the financially frugal way and responsible way. So there were many capital projects, and in fact, all of which I 100% support. So thank you, staff, for making sure we give you the blessing as well to proceed, but truly a city council effort. Okay. With that, last item.
Oh, we haven't voted yet.
Oh, yeah, really?
Boy, you can tell you're a short timer now.
I'm done. Mommy, you can patch off.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. And 1C, I do have the information about Bhatnagar, Biagini, and Crutchlow have abstained. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Am I all clear to go to item 7 now?
I think so.
On review of Planning Commission iPads.
Across the board. At your previous meeting, there was a request to have your iPads reviewed by IT to see if, we're all good with what we have. And IT has notified us that the iPads, although they're a little bit older, they don't need to be replaced at this time. And then the next year or two, they will review it and give us their recommendation at that time.
Okay.
Duly noted. Commissioner Salem?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I've been working with Elizabeth to acquire dongles, the iPads that would allow us to connect directly to the wired network, because I believe from triaging these that a lot of the loading problems and things we're seeing are because the wireless network is throttled. So we try to download hundreds of megabytes of content in the meeting attachments, and they get to a certain point and stop because the network is deciding we're overusing it. But since we can't preload them, it becomes required for us to be able to access the wired network directly. Now it's up to IT to provide us with Ethernet cables and some place to plug in on the dais so that we're connected in the same way that Elizabeth and others are with the direct system connections, not wireless.
So here's my question. We got that one to test it out. Do we still want to just get the cord and other items and test that
I'll
out?
test this at home.
Okay.
Because I can test the throughput, and I can watch for speed degradation or any other problem
Okay.
that might happen.
Yeah, I mean,
Based on that, I can make the recommendation.
When you wire it, it definitely goes faster. I mean,
Oh,
I
God,
can
yes.
say that, except that one of the things we need to know from IT is, do they also throttle wired connections?
I wouldn't expect it, but
I-
it's not impossible.
You know how we are in IT, right? We don't assume, you shouldn't assume anything, right? Especially here. But I agree with you. If it's on a wired, it's going to be a lot faster. It should be. But I want to make sure that IT also says, hey, the way it's set up, you would not be throttled, so that we'd have to worry about that.
Yeah, I'm going to have them review this. Once I hear from Lance, after you said you want to test this
I'll
out,
test this
then
at home tonight now that we have it, and then I'll give you a report back.
okay, sounds good.
Can I add one other request for IT to that? This is a little bit out of context for all of it, but number one, I think a lot of commissioners have not been as efficient as they could, given the limitation that you must use your laptop to view email and such. And the reason that I state that, given that I'm in cybersecurity, is if I really was trying to take the information that is on an email and secretly share it out, there's this device on a phone called a camera that would do a very good job of making sure you have no idea what I did. Now, that being said, that's one aspect of it. If there's ways that we can make it more efficient so that, like my company provides a way that I can use my personal iPhone in a safe way to view company emails. That's a real common practice. The other thing that I would ask IT review is their multi-factor authentication. It is not multi-factor authentication when it happens on the same device. Something you have, something you know. So when I see the multi-factor authentication come up and saying, hey, your number is 63, it's happening on the iPad. And so I would ask if IT would review that policy and see if we can do a better job at multi-factor authentication.
Great point.
Sure. Well, yes, I will get those questions to IT.
And if they want, if you would like, I will email you these questions.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Go ahead and do that.
I'll email them. I'm happy to answer any questions they may have and show them what's going on. So thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Salim.
I don't want to overload us with technical, but I think Commissioner Kreshel will appreciate this. I'm getting challenged twice a day on every device that I use to check my email. And it's kind of ridiculous because I have a desktop, a laptop, an iPad, and an iPhone times 2 every day asking me for numbers, usually when I'm in the middle of something else. So it really gets in your way, it wants to take it over. So I don't know what policy the IT group has installed, but it's massively inefficient and does not seem to be very practical to use it on devices that you use for anything else.
Commissioner Wang.
Commissioner Salim
100% agree
to
with.
help figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I think if
really annoying.
I'll send the email, I will note it, and then if we, some of us want to, help out that are experts on this, I'm happy to give some of my time to help IT review the problem.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you. And
Sounds good. I'll
by
wait to
now
get
we should
that.
know this commission is extremely tech savvy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. No, this is all really helpful, so go ahead and send me that email, then we'll follow up with
Thank
IT and see what we find out. Thank you. Will do.
Okay, and with that, moving to the next order of items, reports, commission, board liaison committee. Announcements or other items? Commission dinner before meeting. What am I talking about? It shows on my list here. Anyway, I just wanted to quickly make a verbal statement. I got this really nice email, and I'm assuming it's for our safety and security, from our chief, police, Pat Nicolai. And that was to indicate the ability for us, and I'm assuming this because I did not have any context with the email, that we have patrols throughout this building on shift basis and names and their phone numbers. I'm assuming that's what Pat was trying to get to me.
I'm sorry.
So I sent the email to you. You'll see it.
Oh, okay.
You'll see it. I received this email from a police chief, Pat Nicolai, on the security patrol that happens around, and I'm assuming, our campus.
Okay.
And I'm assuming he sent it to 2 Priyas. I don't know if he was trying to get the right
Could have
Priya.
been. Yeah.
Okay, so I will just say thank you, Pat. I'm assuming we're very safe here because of all the graveyard shift and the regular shift, but I would just want to make sure I got this email from Pat.
Okay.
Are these police or are these security? Okay, police.
Our
okay.
police and their services around, I guess, here. Well, some of the Priya got it, but I'm making sure that, Pat, I think if you got it, thank you very much, but I hope it's not, that it should be public. Yes, Commissioner Virginie.
I just wanted to make an announcement that seeing as how this thing is kind of interesting looking, that, my husband, who is a woodworker, has agreed to donate to the city. Is that okay if he does that? It's not me, it's him anyway. He's hand-making a new gavel. It was supposed to be before you were no longer chair.
Okay, I will still have it.
Okay, so he is going to make us a gavel that actually looks pretty cool. He's in the process of it now. So this thing can be used as a hammer throw for anyone
Needing
trying
security.
to,
It's for
trying to join the
tapping the beer
Olympics.
barrel. Tapping
So
the beer
that should be coming soon. That's my announcement.
Thank you
And
so
it'll be
much.
more than one kind of wood, and I get to pick the prettiest one.
Thank you so much, and I will miss it if it's something that I can't use in the next. Okay, moving to Commissioner Travel and Training Reports, request to attend trainings. Staff?
I don't have any information about upcoming trainings, but what I am going to do, because you start your new fiscal year, I did set up a yearly calendar of ongoing trainings or conferences. Some of you have seen it, but I think it's time to send it out to all of you again, because there are some that do occur every year at about the same time for your planning purposes. There will always be other things that come up also. So I'm going to get that out in an email to you sometime soon, so you can take a look at that.
And a gentle reminder.
And
that
that'll help
staff-
you with your budget also, to be
Yes,
looking
our
through
staff
that.
and our commitments to have trainings on data centers and several other topics that we had expressed our interest way back then. So thank you again for reminding us. Moving to the director reports, Planning Commission budget updates.
You're really pretty much at the same amount, I mean, give or take a
And
small
we
amount.
will now start the calendar
Yeah,
year, fiscal
right.
year fresh.
So you're ending basically with a balance somewhere around 8,500.
Okay.
Your new budget starting July 1st is 17,318. Your budget for this year was 16,979.
And I appreciate that increase. I'm looking at it as City Council recognizing our efforts and the interest to add for the educational requests that we had made, both to attend conferences. Know that again, city pays for your boarding, lodging, travel expenses as allowed by city policy. So please avail. I thoroughly enjoyed being at the National APA, just FYI. Okay. Upcoming agenda items, staff.
Yes, thank you. Leslie giving me some notes. So upcoming on the horizon, we have Mission Point Kylie, big project. So I think that could be
That's
landing.
on July.
Could be landing in July. Also on the horizon would be 2901 Tasman Drive. It's a 12-story office building complex.
Great, thank you. Lance, something to look forward to. City Council actions, any update from?
The last meeting, nothing that the Planning Commission had any recommendation on.
And again, we have to adjourn in the celebration of the city getting its certification for our housing element.
Finally.
Whew, a 2-year journey, 1.5 years of pain of that. And how many times have we reviewed it? So thank you, staff. Again, thank you, Xander and Leslie and all city staff, especially John, who worked on the housing element.
Monumental job. We have the best staff, I swear, anywhere. That includes you, Xander, as much as I might tease you. Okay.
Okay, we are a certified city. With that, if no other thoughts, I would like to have a consensus to adjourn at 8:49.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
He says no.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Eric, I wanted to ask you something about